Uncovering the Book of Numbers, shocking secrets that will change everything forever. The weather was strangely still that day, as if the world held its breath, awaiting a revelation long buried. Deep in the heart of St. Louis, an old library stood like a fortress, its stone walls reverberating with whispers of forgotten tomes. A single flickering bulb illuminated the dust-covered stacks, casting eerie shadows that danced like spirits across the floor. And there, amid that thick coat of silence, lay the Book of Numbers, an ancient text said to hold secrets that could alter the very fabric of reality. Missy Harper felt a shiver run down her spine, the anticipation coiling like a serpent. She had stumbled upon a rumor about the book, the kind that kept locals awake at night. In hushed tones, they spoke of its power, how it had resurfaced only to disappear again, leaving behind unanswered questions, strange occurrences, and the faint smell of burnt parchment. As she opened the heavy cover, the air turned electric, tingling against her skin. Each page crackled with energy, secrets waiting to be unearthed. The library air thickened. A voice echoed in her head, a warning layered with dread: once you know, you can't unknow. What could it mean? Clutching the book, her heart raced, shadows from the past wrapped around her tighter. She leaned closer, intrigued yet terrified, as a sudden noise shattered the stillness. A book fell from a nearby shelf, landing with a thud that echoed like a gunshot. A chill swept through her, as if someone or something was watching. Drawing a shaky breath, Missy recalled the strange series of events since she'd learned about the book. Cars breaking down inexplicably, eerie lights flickering in the night, and whispers of those who'd last possessed it missing, presumed gone. Could this be her imagination? Or was a darker truth lurking beneath the surface? As fear tightened her chest, she heard the door creak open behind her, urgency igniting her instincts. Something was here. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. She turned slowly, a lump forming in her throat. A figure cloaked in shadow stood at the entrance, motionless yet palpable like a storm hovering on the horizon. Was it friend or foe? The heavy silence felt like a living thing, waiting for her response. Would she dare to uncover what the Book of Numbers held, knowing it could unleash something unimaginable? The question reverberated in her mind as she clutched the book tighter, determined yet wary. What had she gotten herself into? The figure stepped forward, the flickering light catching just the edge of a gray hood. Missy's breath hitched. Who are you? She managed to whisper, her voice barely carrying over the suffocating silence. The figure paused, lifting its head slightly. Shadows spilled across its face, but the glint of eyes shone like two obsidian stones in the dark. I seek the Book of Numbers, the figure said, voice low and almost reverberating. Each word seemed to vibrate in the very air around her. Missy felt the weight of those words pressing down, a mix of urgency and something that felt like despair. Why? She demanded, her courage barely masking her fear. She lacked the confidence of someone who dabbled in ancient texts or whispered legends. Yet here she stood, the object of that very legend's desire. The figure took another step closer, and a cold draft swept through the library, making her shiver. It holds secrets that must not be unveiled lightly, it replied, cloaked in a warning that sent her heart racing. You don't understand what lies within, do you? Missy felt her stomach twist, an unsettling mix of anxiety and determination igniting within her. What do you mean? Her voice grew stronger despite the fear pooling inside her. What does it do? The figure only shook its head, frustration evident in the slight flick of its hood. You shouldn't have come here, it said, sounding almost regretful. Those who seek knowledge must be prepared to pay the price. Suddenly, the library trembled, books rattling on shelves, dust falling like glittering rain. Panic surged through Missy as the lights flickered violently, the dim space around them lurching and twisting. She had to get out. But that was before she heard the whispers' voices rising from the pages of the Book of Numbers like a chorus of trapped souls. Each syllable slid through her mind like ice. Seek the truth, unlock the door, you must find them, stop. She yelled, her hands trembling as she clutched the book tighter, trying to drown out the haunting chorus. What truth? What door? The figure moved closer, aura heavy with inevitability. Once you have started down this path, there is no turning back. For some, knowledge is a curse. With a sudden swipe, it lunged for the book. In that moment, Missy's instincts kicked in, and she snatched it away, adrenaline pumping through her veins. No. I want to let you take it. She yelled, feeling a spark of defiance flare within her. Then be ready. The figure hissed, handing her a glance that promised chaos. In an instant, it vanished, the shadows collapsing into nothing, leaving Missy swaying in the aftermath of shock. Her heart hammered in her chest as she felt the trembling calm returning, but the voices, they grew louder. Find the lost, seek the ones who know. Shaking her head, she realized she was at a crossroads. The secrets began to claw at her, wrapping around her mind like invisible chains. The door of knowledge was ajar. The question was, could she handle whatever lay beyond? With resolve igniting in her core, Missy decided she would face whatever came next. She had to discover the truth. But just as she gathered her thoughts, the sound of movement echoed behind her. Cold dread flooded her senses. Had the figure returned? Or was something else lurking in the shadows, waiting for her to take that final step? As the whispering voices crescendoed to a deafening roar, she knew one thing: leaving was no longer an option. What awaited her on the other side of the unknown? Missy spun around, her heart racing wildly. The shadows danced along the shelves, twisting and contorting as if alive. She felt trapped, ensnared in a web of dark history. Each whisper seemed to call her name, growing ever more frantic, desperate for release. Find the lost. The voices ebbed and flowed like an ominous tide, pulling her toward an unseen danger. Missy took a cautious step forward, her instincts warring with her desire for the truth. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from somewhere deep in the library. It was as if the very walls were protesting against her presence. The noise sent a jolt of adrenaline through her limbs, and she took another step back. The thick tension in the air became palpable, it was almost as if the library held its breath. Show yourself. She shouted, her voice trembling but defiant. Shadows flickered around her, teasing her resolve. Then, from the darkness, she saw it, a flickering silhouette. A figure, this one smaller than the hooded specter, emerged from the recesses between the bookshelves. The glint of a pale face, deeply shadowed, sent another wave of fear washing over her. Missy instinctively tightened her grip on the Book of Numbers, as if it were both a shield and a beacon of hope. Missy, the voice, soft yet chilling, called out. We've been waiting for you. Who are you? She managed, her voice breaking. I am a guardian of the knowledge you seek. But, oh, the burden it carries. The figure took a pause, its eyes glimmering with an unsettling mixture of concern and apprehension. You must understand, Missy, this knowledge is not for the faint of heart. What do you mean? She demanded, stepping forward. What is so dangerous about the Book of Numbers? The guardian's face twisted into a grim expression. It reveals truths that could unravel everything you hold dear. It connects to the fabric of reality itself, Missy. If you aren't careful, it can effectively change who you are. Her breath caught in her throat, she could almost feel the weight of his words pressing down. Change who I am. I need to know. Her determination flared, overriding the fear burrowing deep within. Knowledge has a price, he warned. Many have sought it, few have returned. As those words settled in the air, Missy could hear the whispers escalating once more. The spirits entwined within the book felt restless, eager as if they could taste her yearning. Unlock the door, find them who she asked, her voice barely a whisper amid the rising cacophony. The guardian raised a finger, pointing toward a forgotten corner of the library shrouded in darkness. Seek the ones who walk this path before you. They hold the keys, but be wary, they may not wish to be found. Before she could respond, the library erupted in chaos. Shelves began to tremble, books plummeting to the ground. Missy's heart pounded in her chest as her world turned upside down. What's happening? She cried out, but the guardian only shook his head. Time is short. Make your choice. With desperation clawing at her, Missy bolted toward the corner he had indicated, aware that time was slipping away. The whispers lashed at her ears, a relentless tide, urging her forward to confront whatever awaited in that darkened space. The guardian's last words echoed in her mind: she needed to find those who knew. And as she approached the shadows, she wondered if she was walking toward revelation or ruin. The moment she stepped into the darkness, the air thickened around her, and her surroundings twisted as if reality itself were unraveling. What awaited her in that hidden world? The darkness enveloped Missy like a heavy blanket, pressing tightly against her skin. She felt her breath quickening, the air thick and stifling. Ahead of her, the shadows twisted and turned, coiling like serpents eager to strike. Each heartbeat reverberated in her ears as the whispers crescendoed, an insistent symphony of voices clawing at the edges of her sanity. Find the lost, they echoed again, more urgent this time, as if a timekeeper had begun counting down from a precarious precipice. What lost things? Was it knowledge? Souls? The thought of stepping back, the thought of retreating flickered in her mind, but the weight of the Book of Numbers was a tether, grounding her in purpose. She had to push through. Steeling herself, Missy moved deeper into the obscured corner. The darkness rumbled with life, and with each step, the floor creaked underfoot like a warning. The outlines of long-forgotten shelves loomed ahead, their contents cloaked in veils of dust and shadow. A sudden gust of wind whipped through the tight space, whipping her hair against her face. The whispers transformed into cries, a blend of panic and dire urgency swirling in the air. A chill crawled down her spine, but she pressed on, her fingers brushing against the spines of ancient books, their brittle pages holding secrets older than time. Unlock the door. The voices shifted, layered one over the other. Find them at the far end of the shadowed corner. A faint flicker of light caught her eye. It glowed with a soft, ghostly luminescence, a keyhole, shimmering against the backdrop of darkness. Intrigued and terrified, Missy approached, drawn by an irresistible force. Her heart raced. This was it. This had to be the answer. She knelt on the cold floor, inspecting the keyhole. It wasn't just an ordinary lock, it seemed to pulse, almost breathing. The guardian's warning echoed in her mind: they may not wish to be found. A sense of foreboding washed over her, and she hesitated. Perhaps some doors were better left unopened, but the whispers erupted once more, now a furious cyclone of sound. Unlock the door. Find the lost. With a deep breath, Missy withdrew the key she had found, previously crafted from an indistinct metal, now warm in her palm. She moved in closer, heart thundering as she inserted it into the lock. Her stomach knotted in anticipation. As she twisted the key, the air crackled with energy, and the world around her trembled violently. The key turned with an unsettling ease, as if it had long yearned to be used, and with a resonant click, the door swung open sharply, unleashing a blinding light that washed over her. In an instant, she was yanked from her reality. Missy found herself standing in a vast, sprawling chamber, the walls lined with bookshelves that stretched infinitely upwards. The air was charged with a dizzying mix of knowledge and potent danger. In the center of the chamber floated phantasmal figures, their faces obscured, yet their eyes glinted with unearthly wisdom. "Welcome, seeker of truths," one figure intoned, their voice resonating with authority. "You've awakened us. You need to choose wisely." A shiver ran down Missy's spine as she faced them, the weight of innumerable questions pressing upon her. Who were they? What truths lay within the grip of the Book of Numbers, and what price would she pay for the answers? Will you learn the hidden pathways? The apparition asked, its voice echoing like thunder in the vast expanse. Missy's heart raced, the truths she sought seeming more daunting than she had dared to imagine. Or will you turn back? The words hung in the air, dense with possibility and peril. She felt torn between the allure of enlightenment and the shadows of consequence lurking behind every answer. As the figures moved slowly, encircling her, Missy realized she stood at a crossroads. Choose carefully, or risk losing everything. The decision she made here could alter her reality forever. But before she could respond, a blinding flash erupted in the chamber, engulfing everything in radiant light. What was this unexpected force? What was the true cost of knowledge she clamored for? The light pulsated, and Missy wondered would she emerge unscathed from this chaotic intersection of fate and knowledge. The light surged, bright and searing, consuming everything in its wake. Missy squeezed her eyes shut, instincts urging her to shield herself from the brilliance. Heart racing, she felt as if she were being torn apart and stitched back together. Each beat of her heart matched the pulse of the light, aligning her essence with an ancient rhythm. Then, as suddenly as it emerged, the light faded, replaced by an eerie stillness that draped over the chamber. Missy opened her eyes, blinking against the remnants of dazzle. Before her, the phantasmal figures lingered, but their forms shimmered with a new intensity. The shadows around them grew deeper, flickering like flames caught in a restless wind. "Speak," one of the apparitions beckoned, the voice cascading through her like a cold wave, striking her vocal cords into silence. "What do you desire, seeker? Are you ready to unearth the secrets that have been buried deep?" Missy swallowed hard. I want to know about the Book of Numbers. What truths does it hold? What must I face?" The words spilled out, propelled by urgency and fear. Her body felt small in the expansive chamber, swallowed by the weight of her own question. The floating figures exchanged glances, their eyes gleaming with a knowing gleam that made her skin prickle. "Every truth has a tether," another figure replied, its voice smooth, laced with an otherworldly chill. "To grasp what lies within the book is to confront the shadows of your own making." Her breath hitched. "Shadows?" "Yes," the first figure answered. "The lost you seek are not merely outside you. They dwell within. Only by acknowledging your own darkness can you unlock the full power of the knowledge you crave." An icy knot gripped her stomach. What darkness? Images flashed in her mind, memories best left buried, faces she had lost, paths not taken. The thought of confronting those shades sent tremors through her limbs. "Everything comes at a cost," the silhouette continued, gliding closer. "Do you dare to pay it?" Before she could respond, the chamber trembled again, its structure shifting, books swirling around her like leaves in a storm. The once still shelves rattled, and Missy grasped her head as the noise crescendoed into a deafening roar. She fought to remain grounded, digging her fingertips into the cold stone floor. Then, a single book broke free from the chaotic rush, our classic Book of Numbers. Its cover gleamed, and with a leap of intuition, she reached out. As her fingers brushed against it, tendrils of light shot through her hand, igniting her senses. A flood of images enveloped her, snippets of countless lives, choices made, and roads abandoned. "Seek that which makes you whole," a figure called out through the din. "Seek the resolution of your past." Tension shot through her as she felt the weight of the stories pinned to the pages slip past her. Among them, a figure she recognized, her fading brother, lost to her long ago. Every grain of hope twisted into regret as a new realization dawned. To grasp the knowledge she sought, she would need to face the very shadows she had tried to forget. As the chaos around her settled, everything felt achingly still, as if she were the only one left in existence. The whispers began again, calling to her softly, now reassuring, yet insistent. "Choose." Missy learned to understand, learned to let go. She trembled, caught in a swirling tempest of uncertainty and desire. With one fundamental truth hanging in the air, she pondered one final choice, to illuminate her past or return to oblivion. But before she could make that choice, a horrifying shriek tore through the silence, reverberating against the chamber walls. Shadows darted to the corners, coiling like serpents ready to strike. What had she awakened? And more pressing, was she truly ready to uncover the horrors bound within the Book of Numbers? As the air thickened with dread and anticipation, Missy held her breath, every instinct screaming that answers were approaching, but so was danger. She realized that walking this path would extract more than just knowledge, it could cost her everything she had ever held dear. The shadows writhed, stretching and contorting as the haunting shriek echoed away, leaving behind a heavy silence that crackled with tension. Missy could feel it deep in her bones, that something wanted to break free, something she had inadvertently summoned. Her heart thundered in her chest, a primal warning that screamed for her to flee. Yet, her fingers gripped the spine of the Book of Numbers with an urgency that overpowered her fear. The coldness of the book pulsed against her skin, as if alive. It had answered her call, and despite the terror gnawing at her insides, she couldn't let it go. The figures lingered, hovering closer, their eyes boring into her very essence, urging her to decide. "Open it," the first figure commanded, its voice now laced with impatience. "Reveal your truth." With a shaky breath, Missy flipped the cover. The pages seemed to sigh in relief, whispering secrets long kept. But amid the curious connections, sharp shadows gathered at the edge of her vision, inching closer, drawn to the disturbance she had created. Her pulse quickened, panic fluttered in her stomach. Ink swirled across the pages, forming words that glowed with a strange light. The writing bled to life, and she could feel the energy surge around her, shifting the air into something thick and tangible. Her mind raced as the sentences folded in on themselves, twisting into images: a young girl laughing, a car speeding away, a brother's face fading into darkness. "Confront what you fear," the figure urged, its tone a blend of encouragement and threat. "You must face him to unlock your true power." "Face who?" Missy gasped, her voice barely a whisper. Suddenly, a figure materialized behind her, a shadow darker than night, shaped like a boy. Her breath caught in her throat. "Sam," she choked, recognition flooding her senses. The pain of loss swept over her like a tsunami, suffocating her in memories of laughter and tragedy. She had buried him in a compartment of her heart, but now he loomed large, demanding she acknowledge him. The apparition flickered, his face a hollow mask of sorrow. "You let me go," he said, a hollow echo to her chosen silence. "You need to confront the truth. It's the only way to move forward." A sharp pain sliced through Missy as fragmented memories assaulted her, the argument, the accident, the moments she chose to look away instead of face reality. Each shard of regret clawed at her insides, turning her resolve to dust. "Open your heart," the apparition urged, its voice mingling with the shadows that hissed and whirled around her. "Let go of the guilt that chains you, only then can you understand." With every ounce of courage, Missy returned her gaze to the pages. But instead of waiting for her tears to fall, she ripped the book open further. The ink swirled violently, and she could feel a surge of energy pulse through her veins. The words began to bleed, twisting into images that threatened to pull her into their depths. The shadows coiled tighter around her, eager to swallow her whole. "No!" she cried, yet the word fell into the vortex of chaos, disappearing into the void of her own making. Just as it felt everything would erupt, a voice boomed, shaking her core. "You cannot run from the truths you hold. You must dive deeper." But could she? Every instinct battled inside her. Could she confront the darkness that threatened to engorge her? Would clarity come with embracing pain? The figures leaned in as one, their eyes alight with anticipation. In that moment, Missy faced a crushing decision: linger in fear, or leap into the abyss of her own heart. Before she could grasp her answer, a surge of energy erupted from the book, blasting through her like a shockwave. Black tendrils of shadow circled her limbs, dragging her toward the brink of revelation and terror. Would she be consumed, or would she arise reborn? As she teetered on the edge, a shuddering breath escaped her lips, and she whispered to the darkness, "I'm ready." But was she truly prepared for the truth that awaited her, or would it shatter everything she held dear? Those final words lingered in the air, enveloped in despair and possibility, leaving the chamber heavier than before. A surge of light burst from the pages of the book, bright enough to cut through the shadows that clung to Missy. She felt the pressure of their darkness pull at her, like a tightly wound elastic band ready to snap. For a heartbeat, she teetered between the chaos of memory and the shimmering beauty of revelation, then, with a force that felt both freeing and terrifying, she was yanked into the brilliance. Visions flooded her mind, vivid and fierce, brighter than the truth she had buried. Her heart raced as she found herself standing in a sunlit garden, a place from her childhood. The laughter of children rang in her ears. There was Sam, running through the grass, his golden hair catching the sunlight just before he turned, beaming. "Missy! Come play!" he shouted, a sound that both filled her with joy and twisted her gut with longing. But the scene flickered, darkening into a memory she wished she could erase. The image of their last day together, a slamming door, angry words, and then nothing but silence. She felt the air thicken around her, memories fighting to break free like animals desperate to escape a cage. The shadows lurked at the edges of the garden, hungry for her despair, eager to consume her whole. "Confront it." The whisper echoed again, but this time, it felt more like a scream. "Why didn't you listen?" She found herself shouting into the vastness. "I tried. I was scared." "Fear doesn't save you." Sam's voice pierced through the layers of shadow, revealing the truth amid the chaos. "It consumes you." The ground beneath her shifted, transforming into a misty path that seemed to lead nowhere and everywhere at once. Missy felt as if the earth was alive, breathing beneath her feet. She fought the spinning sensation in her head, summoning a piece of the fearlessness she'd known as a child. With a sudden determination, she took a step forward. "I can't keep running from you. From us." The book of Numbers pulsed in her hands, its energy crackling like static against her skin. The shadows writhed violently, screeching as if they were alive. The pressure against her limbs intensified, and she doubled down, mustering all the will she had. "What do I need to do?" A roar from the darkness spiraled around her, echoing her turmoil. "Face your pain. Only then will you see the light." Her heart sank, but with it bloomed a flicker of courage. The fear of losing Sam, of losing herself, those feelings locked inside her needed to surface. The world flickered, reality bending as images raced past her vision, moments of love, anger, guilt, and grief, a tapestry of her life woven into his. As the chaos swirled, she looked into the shadows, searching. And for the first time, she saw it, the flicker of hope hidden within the gloom. The pressing shadows seemed a little less suffocating, the darkness receding just enough to reveal glimmering fragments of light. "Sam. I understand now," she whispered, surrendering to the truth that coursed like fire through her veins. "I'm sorry." The shadows howled, the sound piercing through her resolve. The book trembled in her grip, the energy around her rising like a storm. Suddenly, clarity surged forward, igniting a light that emanated from the book, swallowing the darkness in its embrace, but as the shadows began to dissipate, a deep rumble echoed, thick with menace. "You think forgiveness will free you?" The word sent chills down her spine as an even larger figure emerged from the void, imposing and dark, a shapeshifter poised to prey upon her vulnerability. Missy gasped, dread pooling in her stomach as realization hit. This was not just a reckoning of her past, it was a confrontation with a far more sinister force that thrived on human weakness. Would she have the strength to face it, or would it consume her entirely? The darkness roared, charging towards her, and in that moment, she understood what was at stake, the final chance to reclaim her past and save herself. "Enough!" she shouted, raising the book defiantly, but the question loomed large: would she stand firm, or would the shadows pull her under, erasing every ounce of light she had left? The air crackled in silence, and the battle for her soul had just begun. The darkness surged forward, and Missy could feel the weight of despair hanging in the air like thick fog. It was so close she could see the flicker of malice in the depths of its swirling form, coiling around her with a palpable hunger. The book of Numbers vibrated like a living thing in her hands, urging her to fight back, to harness the light within. "Stay back." Her voice wavered but was edged with newfound determination. She squeezed the book tighter, digging her nails into the soft leather cover. "You don't control me. You're just shadows." The entity hesitated, as if her words had landed like blows, but then it erupted into a mirthless laugh that echoed through the garden, twisting her joyful memories into echoes of sorrow. You think a name can shield you? The past is your true prison. A chill raced down her spine, and she squeezed her eyes shut, trying to block out the creeping horror, memories flooding her mind, a tapestry of sorrow and regret. Sam's laughter transformed into tears, the warmth of the sun morphing into the icy grip of winter. I've been trapped. She shouted, the mantra empowering her. But not anymore. With a deep breath, she opened her eyes and forced herself to confront the creature that embodied her darkest fears. The shadows congealed into a towering figure, its features shifting like mist, ever-changing, impossible to define. It loomed, exuding a coldness that made her skin crawl. I am your regret, your guilt, every moment you've run from, it proclaimed, its voice simultaneously seductive and suffocating. Together, we can break the bonds of your past. All you need to do is surrender. A faint whisper of doubt brushed against her thoughts, but she brushed it aside. Surrender? To you? Never. The book flared in response, shooting sparks of light into the choking darkness. Missy felt energy coursing through her veins, igniting her resolve. You've had your fun. I refuse to be your puppet. As she spoke, the shadows twisted and writhed, attempting to lash out at her, but with every word, the light from the book pulsed stronger and hotter. You are nothing. It roared, the dark mass swirling violently, revealing glimpses of tormented faces, hints of every soul it had consumed, and something inside her shifted. Those faces were reflections of all she had lost, each one a part of her, crying out for recognition, pain, fear, and fractured hope. I see you. She screamed, her voice echoing with anger and love. I see my pain, and I will not let it drown me. With a sudden burst of courage, she raised the book high. You don't own me. I own my past, and I can change my future. The light erupted from her fingertips, consuming the shadows like flames licking at dry tinder. The dark figure writhed, its form contorting in agony, and Missy felt raw power surging through her. You want to break me? Try. I will fight until my last breath. A blinding flash engulfed her as the energy exploded outward, a shockwave radiating the light she had harnessed. The shadows screamed, writhing in pain and frustration as tendrils of darkness curled back, threatening to engulf her again, but a flicker of warmth swept through her, coaxing her heart forward, and with it came another memory, Sam smiling at her, open and free. Missy, remember who you are. With each beat of her heart, the shadows recoiled, the air humming with the promise of hope. I am me, she shouted, the truth resonating through every inch of her. But just as triumph surged, a fragile crack split the ground beneath her, pulsing threateningly. The dark figure struggled against the light, its voice low and furious. You can't escape me. This is just the beginning. A new fear flickered in her chest as she faced the unseen abyss below, a terrifying precipice. But even within that fear, determination ignited. Would she have the power to vanquish the darkness once and for all, or would it find a way to engulf her in its despair once again? The air crackled with tension, an ancient battle unfolding as she prepared for the next confrontation. The answer lay deep within, but would she be able to unlock it in time? The crack in the earth pulsed ominously, and Missy felt her heart race. The shadows churned beside her, a maddening dance of despair that dared her to look down into the abyss. A whisper brushed against her ear, threading fear into her very soul. You think you can face me? You are nothing without your past, without your mistakes, no. She shouted, her voice cracking with a fierce defiance. I won't let you silence me. I am more than what you make me. The air grew thick as the creature's laughter surrounded her, chilling her down to the bone. It was a sound filled with a dreadful promise, warped by the weight of the countless sorrowful souls it carried. For a moment, doubt threatened to creep in. What if the shadows were right? But the book of numbers pulsed even brighter in her hands. The small flicker of light was steady, a beacon amidst the chaos, affirming her strength. You're wrong. Every mistake has brought me here, and I will use those experiences to rise above you. More energy surged forward, pushing her to confront her fears head-on. The ground beneath her rumbled, impatient, as she stepped forward, raising the book again. Let the light guide me. The shadows swirled fiercely, lunging at her, tendrils of darkness reaching like desperate claws. But this time, Missy wasn't afraid. She concentrated on the light she felt inside. Show me the truth. She cried, and with those words, the book exploded with a blinding flash that cut through the veil of darkness, forcing it back in that moment. Fleeting images began to form within the light moments of her life rendered in brilliant clarity. Sam's laughter echoing in the summer breeze, her mother's soothing voice on a rough day, her father's proud smile when she achieved her goals. Each memory washed over her like waves, filling the cracks the shadows sought to exploit. Those are just shadows of what you cling to. The entity screeched. You're weak. They can't save you from me. No, they remind me of who I am. She retorted, feeling a surge of courage. The visions emanated warmth, they pulled the darkness closer to the light. I am love. I am laughter. I am worthy of joy. A piercing sound rang out, and she felt the ground shift as the crack widened. A resounding heart thump echoed in her chest. It was almost as if the earth itself was responding to her awakening. But beneath that rhythm, she heard something else, a low growl emanating from the dark figure. The balance of light and dark cannot exist without sacrifice. It hissed, narrowing the swirling shadows into a focused beam aimed right at Missy. You'll pay for every whisper of joy you cling to. The ground split further beneath her feet, and with it came a violent tremor. The darkness shot forth, its essence creeping upwards like vines, wrapping around her ankles, tugging her down. Panic threatened to choke her breath, but just then, the shimmering light from the book surged forth again, luminous and pure. Fight back. She commanded, voice rising above the darkness. Power pulsed through her arms as she opened the book wide, feeling ancient words leap forth. I won't be your prisoner anymore. The ground shook, screams filled the air, and bright light burst from the pages, pushing the shadows back with a brilliance so fierce it felt unforgettable. But in that moment, right when victory seemed within reach, something dark flickered in the corner of her eye, an unfamiliar silhouette rising from the shadows that it was large, looming, and seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The air thickened, and her heart raced. What now? She breathed, staring wide-eyed as the ominous presence began to form. What new terror had she awakened in her battle against despair? The answer lurked just beyond her reach, and time was slipping away. The darkness closed in, pulsing, threatening to engulf her completely. Missy couldn't breathe. It felt like a vice, squeezing the courage from her heart. She could feel the weight of despair creeping into the corners of her mind. But even amid the chaos, a flicker of clarity broke through. She had already battled her fears. She had already faced Sam. Enough. She shouted, steeling her spine. You don't scare me anymore. Her voice echoed against the chamber walls, and at that moment, she remembered the warmth of the good memories, the laughter and love that filled her life when she wasn't shackled by grief. The book swelled in her hands, urging her to harness that light, to wield both joy and sorrow as tools for strength. She stepped forward, defiance coursing through her veins, each heartbeat syncing with the tumultuous energy surrounding her. The ominous silhouette before her twitched, and a voice deep and menacing spoke, You are still nothing without your mistakes. Missy took a deep breath, willing the warmth from her memories to expand within her. My mistakes are my lessons. They have shaped me, and they don't define me. With every word, light surged from the book, wrapping around her, fortifying her resolve. The shadows began to quiver. She could see cracks forming in their deceptive hold. Release me. A new voice broke through, frail and desperate. Missy turned in horror. Beneath the swirling shadows, she saw faces, trapped soulmates lost to despair, echoes of those who had fought and lost. The thought ignited a fire in her belly. She reached out, channeling her energy toward the trapped, calling to them. I will help you. She shouted into the fray, her words slicing through the darkness. We can break free together. The shadows hesitated, and she felt the connection between them. A shared sorrow bound them across the abyss. In her heart, she summoned Sam's warm smile, the way his laughter felt like sunlight. I forgive you, she whispered, the words spilling from her lips like a baptism into a new beginning. With those words, something shifted. Light burst forth from within, radiating like dawn breaking through the dark. The silhouettes around her faded, and the tortured faces looked back with recognition, their eyes glistening with hope. The dark entity shrieked, retreating from the onslaught of light. You think this is over? You will never be free. But Missy stood firm. I'm taking back what's mine. The shadows lashed out, but she flared with an unmatched intensity, the book of numbers humming like a symphony of power in her grasp. And as she raised it, memories flooded back, the laughter, the fights, the love, all binding together into an unstoppable force. The darkness writhed and twisted, but her heart surged with the energy of countless souls peering through the veil. Let us break these chains. The light blazed with ferocity, and she felt the shackles of despair begin to disintegrate like ashes in the wind. In a final explosion of brilliance, the darkness collapsed, sucked back into the ether from whence it came. The oppressive air lifted, and with a resonant crack, the chamber sighed in relief. Missy stood breathing heavily, the light now a warm glow enveloping her. The book dimmed, the words settling softly on its pages like falling snow. She felt the weight of the world ease off her shoulders, replaced by clarity. Is it over? She asked, glancing around for any signs of lingering shadows. A gentle voice answered, the guardian appearing once more, the warmth radiating from him. You faced your darkest fear and emerged stronger for it. This chamber is now yours. Missy stared, disbelief mingling with relief. But you have embraced your pain and your joy. You hold the power now. With that, a surge of energy enveloped the chamber, spiraling around her with vibrant colors that danced like fireflies. As the glow intensified, Missy realized she could return to those she had lost, not to drown in grief but to embrace their memory, to celebrate the love she had worried she might forget. You're free, the guardian affirmed with a smile. Filled with warmth, like a promise of beginnings. And the next moment, the chamber dissolved, swirling into mist. A sense of home tugged at her from deep within. The sun illuminated her surroundings, and Missy realized she was back in the library, the weight of the book of numbers still in her hands, but now imbued with meaning rather than dread. As she stepped outside, the sun kissed her cheeks, and the world felt alive, electric with promise. She turned back one last time to the library, a smile breaking through the remnants of fear. She had faced her darkness, and now, she would share her story not of despair, but of the power of confrontation. Goodbye, shadows, she said softly, and walked into her renewed life, and as she did, a radiant hope filled the air, transforming every corner with the potential of a future unbound. She felt alive, and it was everything she needed. The end was just the beginning. Now, listen up, because this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Don't wait even one more second. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this finale. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Thank you for it.